Oh, hey again. Are you going to be playing Destiny for the next 165 days? I'm not playing it much, but I think we should still make a build just in case you are. Introducing Osmomancy Gloves. Let's talk about them. Well, first off, what even are Osmomancy Gloves? Osmomancy Gloves are exotic Warlock gauntlets, and their exotic perk states, your Cold Snap grenades have an additional charge that recharges quicker on direct impact. The Seeker spawned from Cold Snap grenades travels further. Now this is good, but we are only focusing on one part of this, and that's that your Cold Snap grenades have an additional charge. This is amazing because it's the only Warlock exotic that gives Stasis grenades an extra charge, and we're going to be abusing that. Now of course we're going to have to pair this exotic with the grenade it describes, Cold Snap Grenade, a grenade that freezes on impact and sends another Seeker to find and freeze targets. We do not care about this because we're pairing it with Bleak Watcher, which states, press and hold the grenade button to convert your grenade into a stasis turret that fires slowing projectiles at nearby targets. Now slowing can progress to freezing, meaning you can keep freezing your enemies for at least 25 to 30 seconds, as that's how long a Bleak Watcher turret lasts. You can have them both out at the same time to freeze faster, or you can throw one out and then throw one out when the other one's about to expire, so you can have a 60-second turret basically. But of course, we're going to have a ton of regen in this build, which we'll get onto later. And since I just mentioned the first aspect, I think I should talk about the second one. Ice Flare Bolts. Shattering a frozen target spawns Seekers that track and freeze other nearby targets. Basically, if you shatter an opponent by just dealing damage to them while they're frozen, you send a mini Cold Snap out after someone. So technically we're keeping the grenade since we turn them into turrets, and then we shatter someone from the turret, and we make a Cold Snap. It's just extra steps really. And while we're talking about the core abilities and the aspects, let's talk about the Rift for a second. You can use whichever Rift you want, but I'm using Healing Rift because this build doesn't really have many healing opportunities. And as for your melee, Stasis only has one option, so you're going to have to use that. And as for the super, Stasis once again only has one option, so use that. Now that we're done talking about the core kit, we're going to talk about the Fragments. Let's start with Whisper of Refraction. Defeating slowed or frozen targets grants you class ability energy. This is just amazing because we're always going to be slowing and freezing targets, so this is just a free source of class ability energy. We're also going to pair this with Whisper of Durance. Slow that you apply to targets lasts longer. For those abilities that linger, their duration will also increase. This gives plus 10 strength as well, but we don't really need that. And we are slowing a lot, so it's just nice to make it last longer. We're also going to be using Whisper of Torment. You gain grenade energy every time you take damage from targets. We are going to need a lot of grenade energy, and if we take damage we get some back, so it's just free. And finally, Whisper of Chains. While you are near frozen targets or a friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets. This gives plus 10 recovery, which is one of Warlock's best stats, and also, damage resist is always welcome, especially when we're freezing a ton of targets and we're going to be near them all the time. And now that we're done talking about the subclass, let's talk about weapons, because this build actually has some weapons that work really well with it. I suggest Deliverance, as you can roll this with Demolitionist and Chill Clip. Now Chill Clip did get nerfed, but it still slows targets, and Demolitionist gives you grenade energy back when you get a kill, and it reloads your gun when you throw a grenade. This build revolves completely around getting grenades and throwing them, so infinite reloads and infinite grenades. And I also suggest Chain of Command, which you can pick up from the kiosk in the tower if you didn't obtain it during the Season of the Haunted. But this can also have Demolitionist, which will give you grenade energy back and reloads when you throw it. And both of them are stasis weapons, so you can pair this with a Harmonic Siphon and get stasis orbs. And now let's talk about mods. Starting with a helmet, I think you should run a Heavy Ammo Finder and double Harmonic Siphon. Heavy Ammo Finder increases your chances of finding heavy ammo, which you can use to fuel your machine gun, and the Harmonic Siphon allows weapons using the same element as your subclass, in this case Stasis, to create orbs on multi-kills, which can fuel your armor charges and give you super energy, and we're using 2 just to give us an extra bump of super energy. And now as for the gauntlets, I suggest running Impact Induction, which states causing damage with a powered melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown, so you get grenade energy for getting a hit, just a hit, not a kill, a hit with your penumbral burst, which is amazing. And we also have double grenade kickstart, which when your grenade energy is fully expended, aka when you throw the grenade, your armor charges are consumed and you gain grenade energy for each armor charge used. We're going to be gaining a lot of armor charges because we're using 2 stasis weapons and we have Harmonic Siphon. So this is just free grenade energy whenever you throw it. As for your chest piece, we're going to be running whatever resists you need for whatever activity you're running, and a singular charged up mod, which increases the maximum stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1, meaning you can have 4 stacks of armor charges now, which also buffs grenade kickstart because that scales off of how many armor charges you have. And now for the mods on your legs, I suggest running double innovation, which reduces your grenade cooldown every time you pick up an orb of power, and with our harmonic siphon we're going to be making a lot of orbs. And I suggest also running stacks on stacks. Picking up an orb of power grants you 1 additional stack of armor charge. So 1 orb equals 2 armor charges, so 2 orbs equals max armor charges, so you can throw your grenade for grenade kickstart. And as for your bond, I suggest running triple bomber, so every time you use your class ability, you get a ton of grenade energy back. It's just free grenade energy, and we're going to get our class ability back a lot, because of our fragments stated earlier. And finally, for the artifact mods, I suggest running Hail the Storm. Shattering encased targets and stasis crystals deals increased damage. Shattering stasis crystals releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets. Just a free way to get a little bit extra damage. And also Pillar of Ice, defeating an encased combatant spawns stasis crystals, which is just a free way to get a little bit of cover, if you can use it for that. And you can also get damage resist from your earlier fragment. There's also Dragon's Bite, breaking a combatant's shield with a strand or stasis weapon has a chance to suspend or freeze them. We're running stasis, so there's a chance to freeze someone if you break it with your fusion rifle or your machine gun. And if you're solo, just always slap on solo operative for some extra damage. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed the video and the build, and I hope you use it yourself, because I used this build in the day 1 Crota's End, and it worked a charm in the second encounter. We were struggling with it for a while, and as soon as I used stasis turrets, it worked a charm. The ads stopped overwhelming us, the barrier stopped overwhelming us, and we managed to beat it. And I also want to apologise for the late upload. It's late by a week, but that's because I got ill, and I do think I'm getting a bit ill again, but that's fine, because I have 2 weeks until the next video, which is till after Christmas. And I also might not make that extra Lethal Company video, because the video wasn't really, like, the original Lethal Company video wasn't very well received, and I have burnt myself out from Lethal Company because I played it a lot. But that's okay, because not many people watched the original video anyway. But yeah, just thank you for being here, and I hope you have a great Christmas. Goodbye.